What's going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer from blueandgold.com with a video talking about 5 things we learned in the month of April in the world of Notre Dame football recruiting. Before we dive into today's video, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up button on this video, subscribe to our channel for more content, and go to blueandgold.com for all your Notre Dame football coverage. And of course, for more information about the Lou Samoji Memorial Scholarship, check the link in the description box of this video or go to blueandgold.com for more information. So I would say the biggest takeaway thing we learned was the dead period has an end date. This is crucial, not only for Notre Dame football recruiting, but really just all of college football. This is big. So Division I to return to recruiting activities June 1st is what that tweet said. The NCAA released that on April 15th. It was pretty expected. Most people I talked to in the month or two leading up to that expected the dead period to lift. So here's what it means. Recruiting is going back to normal effective June 1st. Official visitors, which we will get to in the next thing we learned here, Notre Dame's going to have plenty of them. That is for sure. What's interesting is what the month of July looks like, because July is actually a dead period for the first 3 weeks. Then the last week of July is back to a recruiting period. So in this release that the NCAA put out, it said that recruiting activities are going back to normal effective June 1st. So it'll be interesting to see if they have any update on what the month of July looks like. And with the end of the dead period is Notre Dame scheduling some big time official visitors. We're going to talk about 3 in particular. Again, over 30 already that I've confirmed and have details at blueandgold.com. Jake Pope, who's listed as a 3-star recruit, but darn good prospect. The 6'1", 180-pound athlete from Buford, Georgia is. He's also going to check out North Carolina and Ohio State. Alabama's going to get an official visit from Pope. Georgia's still in the mix, so Notre Dame is battling some big-time programs for Jake Pope. Another safety prospect, Xavier Nwankpa, is going to officially visit Notre Dame in June. Ohio State is a big-time competitor for the Irish for the number 8 safety in the country. It might be Notre Dame and Ohio State at the top of Nwankpa's list. He's a guy who was one of Notre Dame's very first offers in the 2022 class back in November of 2019. But I still give Ohio State the slight edge. And how about Gavin Sawchuk? Notre Dame's going to bring at least 3 running backs in for official visits in June. Gavin Sawchuk, the highest ranked, the number 2 running back in the country, number 44 overall player nationally. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, just a few schools battling for that elite prospect. It should be noted Gavin Sawchuk went to the same high school as Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey obviously has the tight connection with running backs coach Lance Taylor at Notre Dame. So I know Lance Taylor would love to go back to Valor Christian and win another big-time running back. Number 3 was a big one. Jack Nickel, a 3-star tight end from Milton, Georgia, announced his decommitment from the Fighting Irish on April 13th. He tweeted, "After talking with my family, I've decided to decommit from Notre Dame. My recruitment is now 100% open. Thanks for the support." Also on Friday today, he landed an offer from Cal. I know Michigan State has been talking to him a good bit. Will be interesting to see where Jack Nickel lands, but it's pretty safe to assume at this point it's not going to be at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not recruiting him anymore. Nickel's not looking at Notre Dame any longer. So with him out, look, guys, we had plenty of discussion about, will Notre Dame take 3 tight ends? Because they were in a really good position with Eli Raridan and Holden Stace. We have up on the screen here while Nickel was still committed. Well, look, these things tend to work themselves out. So Nickel decommits. Eli Raridan, 6'6", 220-pound prospect who was on campus at Notre Dame last weekend. We will have the video interview that I had with Raridan pop up on top of the screen here. You can also find it on our Blue and Gold YouTube page. Holden Stays, 4-star tight end, former Penn State commit. Notre Dame still in strong position with both. I feel like it's more likely that Notre Dame lands Stays than Raridan. Raridan lived in South Bend as an infant as his father was finishing up his career at Notre Dame. His grandfather was a strength and conditioning coach in the late 80s under Lou Holtz, so there's plenty of Notre Dame ties. If Raridan doesn't end up at Notre Dame, it's probably Iowa, but again, I do feel like he is going to end up signing with Notre Dame. I want to be clear that the 4th thing we've kind of learned from April is that the linebacker picture is taking shape. Not that we necessarily know exactly what's going to happen. 2 totally different things. Sebastian Cheeks likely to officially visit Notre Dame at the end of June. Jalen Sneed locked in for a midweek visit in the middle of June. Nuafe Jr. Tui Halamaka, the nation's #1 inside linebacker, he's locked in to take an official visit to Notre Dame. So it kind of feels like Notre Dame has 2 spots left in 3 guys. Notre Dame likes all of these prospects a lot. I could see any combination, 2 of these 3 landing at Notre Dame. If for whatever reason Notre Dame doesn't hit 4 linebackers this summer and strikes out with a couple of these guys, there's another group of linebackers that Notre Dame would then turn to. But I just don't really think that Notre Dame's going to enter the football season without 4 linebackers committed. And I could see, again, any of these guys landing on Notre Dame. Guys, Notre Dame is trending for some elite prospects. I don't like to throw around that word elite willy-nilly, but these guys truly big-time prospects and ones that Notre Dame is targeting and really wants in its 2022 class. Anthony Lucas, 6'5", 285 pounds. Mike Elston offered Lucas last summer, stayed on him consistently, but there was a shift in this recruitment when Marcus Freeman came aboard at Notre Dame in January. Notre Dame went from a team that was in the mix to a big-time competitor, and Anthony Lucas might even be a Notre Dame lean at this point. Now, from the last time I talked to him, of course, he confirmed that he was taking an official visit in June to Notre Dame, but he seemed to have his timeline later in the process. Like, I don't think you should be expecting a summer commitment from him, even though I'm not ruling that out at this point in time. But Lucas does seem to be trending Notre Dame. You know, some of those West Coast schools are going to be in it. I know some schools from the South are also targeting Anthony Lucas. But again, Notre Dame has done a really nice job. Marcus Freeman, Mike Elston connecting not only with Lucas, but with his parents as well. And another elite prospect, C.J. Williams, the number 27 overall prospect in the country, number 3 wide receiver, number 2 player from the Golden State. He's got official visits locked in June for Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I believe there might be a 4th in there as well. You see the offer list. 50 schools, if not more. There could be a couple rivals that's missing. But C.J. Williams, truly an elite prospect, borderline 5-star recruit, had a strong spring season out in California. Del Alexander, a guy who Notre Dame fans have been critical of recently, even though he signed some big-time receiver prospects highly ranked in the past couple classes. But, Notre Dame fans want to see more from Del Alexander. Well, this would be a great opportunity for Notre Dame to land a truly elite prospect at the receiver position. And I do think that Notre Dame is at least in the top 2 or 3, obviously, because he's taken an official visit there. And he's one of the few schools he has a scheduled one with. But I feel like Notre Dame could land both Anthony Lucas and C.J. Williams. And that's going to do it for this video. Again, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content. Go to blueandgold.com for everything Notre Dame football.